What an amazing topic this is going to be. Oh my gosh, this is vibrant. Hector, how are you, my friend?
Woo! I am doing really, really good. And yeah, today's subject will be very interesting.
It's going to be so interesting to see where it goes today. And I just want to do a quick shout out, Liz Ross. Liz, you're an amazing lady. We have been trying to go live in Liz's group. She is a leader of women having better, healthy relationships with their male partners, and we are always full of gratitude that we can share our thoughts, Hector and myself, in the mindset of a man and what helps us open our own hearts to have better communication with the women in our life. So today's topic is pretty splendid. How does a man heal his mother wound to have better intimacy? Oh, it's juicy.
Oh, yeah.
Juicy.
Don't get me wrong, because I want to tell you that there's a lot of men too in Liz's group, because men are finding a whole lot of value in what we've been discussing and what she has to offer. So to all you guys out there, we definitely would like to hear your feedback.
Absolutely.
Look, just finished another podcast today with Lut, and let me tell you, we were touching on the subject of what is a man and when did you become one? Okay, and so that's a big subject right there. Wide open barn, and so is this one. Why? Because they're interconnected. They're interconnected because you know the reality is, until you have been healed from the inside, when you heal that inner child, until that happens, you are still like the little ugly duckling that was a beautiful swan, always asking, "Are you my mama?" And so you're walking around, and after a while, a woman gets tired of saying, "I'm not your mama. I don't want to mother you. I want a partner." And they just don't say it that nicely. They say it in a way that says, "Get away from me, you poser." Huh, Kane?
Yeah, it's that's really true. I mean, I think the greatest thing that we always have to remember is that uh, having a conscious divine relationship is a journey, and you have to be easy on each other, but it is a decision, Hector. This is the biggest thing that that all of us have to, men and women, right? Masculine or feminine, if you're in same-sex relationships, masculine and feminine, right? It has to be a decision between the two people to make a conscious effort to be willing to do the work together on a spiritual journey of self-discovery with each other, to notice the things that aren't working inside you, that you need to heal, that you need to come to a convicted place within your own self, and not be shy about that. But in a relationship, you have to make that decision together and go, I've decided I'm going to go on this journey with you. Because unless you actually get the conviction of the two people going, it's like going into a marriage and then one person's not dealing with their shit and the other person is, and they're at loggerheads and they're arguing with each other, right? And you're not doing this and you're not doing this, and it just becomes a shit fight of an argument, rather than going, how can we evolve together? What is it that I need to do personally to help me become a better version for you, to feel like you can become a better version so we can communicate better? How are we going to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. And that comes from an honest, open discussion, right? But what happens is, so we are taught when we were kids to do away with your essential expression of who you are and what you came here to solve. Okay, and so it's not done on purpose. It's done because that's what was done to the slaves that came before you, and the slaves that came before those that came before them. And so we have a long chain of slaves that don't understand and don't know how to set themselves free. And what they're trying to do is give you the best that they have. And those are our parents, okay? And until you come to the realization that they were doing the best that they could, because let me tell you, after raising, and being involved in 40 children in my life, there's a lot of mistakes that one makes. On this side of 40, I sound like I really know what I'm talking about. But let me tell you, I've made my mistakes and I have made my errors. And but every time it was with good intention. I was trying to help these children, okay? I didn't do this just because I was on a power trip. So that's the first thing that we need to really wrap our head around and come into a fearless position to be able to express yourself clearly. Let me say this, quick little story of my own life. Now, I can only speak about me, right? I can't talk about, same gender relationships because I've never been in a same gender relationship, but I can tell you I've been in plenty of, you know, what I would call traditional and normal gender relationships. But on my first one, I was young and she was young and we were in love and everything was great and we were going to conquer the world and it was, we were going to do all these wonderful things and we began, right? So I went down this path and started to make money and I had an idea, an ideology, and I told her, I said, well, we're going to do this, this, and that. And do you agree? Because I don't want to live in the United States the rest of my life. And so she's like, oh yeah, we're going to do that. And she had been studying Spanish, so we were going to move to Puerto Rico. And I joined the military, and I did all this stuff to develop this idea that I had. Somewhere along the line, after 14 years of marriage, we found out that we were strangers. Okay, it wasn't done on purpose. We had a bunch of kids and a farm and money and property, and everything was great, at least until it wasn't. And then things started to come apart. And she's like, you know what? I don't want to be in this marriage anymore. I'm like, what do you mean? We just agreed. We have an agreement. No, she says, I'm done. I'm tired. I don't want to do this no more. Okay. And I'm like, what is it that you don't want to do? I couldn't understand that story. What do you mean you're not doing this no more? What about all the stuff that we have been doing? And so the thing fell apart quickly as I thought, but the thing has started falling apart a long time ago because I just wanted her to put up with a lot of my decisions, and I was just driving. And I was a hard driver, and I was A-type personality, and I was accomplishing. I just needed her to pick up all the mess that I was leaving behind, okay? And that soured the relationship. And on top of it, I was making money, and I was expecting her to manage my money. I was irresponsible in this area. And I was expecting her to fill in that gap without me telling her. And in that sense, she needed to mother me. That to me is the only thing I can speak of because I'm not having that conversation with her anymore. But I can tell you that after making millions of dollars and owning 13 horses, having a Porsche, having all this stuff, the whole thing just fell apart. And finances were a major thing. I suffered my first and bankruptcy. It was a tremendous learning lesson. So that's why, when we think about it, it's easy to blame somebody else and say they didn't and blah, 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 blah. But look, the buck stops right here. Buck stops right here. I was immature in finances, and my demands and my expectations of what I wanted her to do and my children were also unrealistic. And that's what's true. That was my story. I'm a different man today, but that was my story then.
Like this really goes, what you're bringing up and the topic today, this is really relevant for the event that's coming up next month. with myself and Anna Maria, which is balanced transformation, integrating the masculine and the feminine energies for empowered living. It's healing generational trauma, and that's basically what we're talking about today, right? This
It
is
is. It is.
healing those mother wounds is in association to healing the generational trauma that you've had with mum and dad.
Yeah.
And you know, you might have had a really amazing upbringing, but there was something lacking in some sort of thing that you didn't actually receive, or maybe you were in a really traumatic family environment that had a lot of conflict, and you had to hide away, and then you've got these subconscious wounds and patterns and beliefs about what love is. You know, I mean, if we were to look at me as an example, I mean, you've just brought up a beautiful topic about what you were doing in that first relationship that you were in, and that you were wanting to be mothered. Well, I received a lot of emasculation from my older sister. She was like 4.5 years older than me, right? And I was my mum had 6 miscarriages before I was born. So after after
Oof.
after my sister was born, that she had a dry birth, and she was told that she wouldn't have kids again. She had 164 internal stitches, right? Yeah, it's huge. And she kept trying in the aspect, I want another child, right? I don't believe
Mm.
I'm not going to have another kid, right?
Yeah.
She was set on, I want to have another child, and I was the 7th one to hold on, right? It was particular.
Ooh, wait a second. Wait a second, brother. That's a whole new story right there.
I
The
know.
seventh child, right? They make movies called that. The seventh son. Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah.
Please
So
continue.
so my sister had a lot of attention taken off her when I was born, right?
Yeah.
Created a huge conflict with her and me, and a lot of some of these healing aspects that I had to go through was healing the relationship with my sister, because she mentally abused me, she physically abused me, and she emasculated me consistently, right up. You know, it still goes on in a way, right, when she's really down. But I've healed so much, and I've brought so much forgiveness into it. And it really is, it's also a representation of what, when I was younger, of what I thought love was, which
Mm-hmm.
was abuse,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right?
100%.
That if someone loves me, that there has to be abuse associated to it,
That was the training that
right?
you absorbed. What else?
Right. So that is also correlated to mum, to that, my mum, where I didn't feel safe. And she also, there were elements where, she was just doing the best that she could, but she
Yeah.
she she didn't have the education of what
Right,
we do
right.
nowadays about mindset and energy and all of this kind of stuff that and personal development and communication, right? And back then, back in the 70s and the 80s, it was just word of mouth of how you raise a kid, right? There's some books and shit that some were good, some were absolutely
No,
terrible.
most of them were terrible. Remember Dr. Spock?
Yeah, right.
Those were terrible books.
Yeah, exactly. So the element to me in that, my first serious relationship, there was a lot of physical abuse that I was getting, right?
Okay.
Until I got to the point where, hair was getting pulled out of my head, scratches and blood down the back of my neck and down my back, right? Getting beaten up. I'm a man, right? I don't
Right, right,
girls
right,
back.
right,
But I got
right.
to the point where I had to pick her up and I had to throw her on the bed, and it was like, this ain't right. This is fundamentally wrong.
Look, man, I so hear what you're saying. I've dealt with clients, I've talked to people where their wives had stabbed them took in a stiletto heel and stuck him in the chest. This happens, okay? This is not an isolated situation. It's still happening now.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Domestic violence has gone through the roof since COVID, right? Since that whole schmozzle that went on, right? Domestic violence has gone through the roof. Suicide's gone through the roof.
Yes, 10 years ago, the United States had to initiate a new initiative of building buildings specifically for juvenile females. They never had to until 10 years ago. Now there's institutions all over the country dedicated to females that are predators. There is a crazy reality.
That is crazy. And I guess the example that we're demonstrating in these two stories that we've just shared about each other is that there was still, like, I was exactly the same. I wanted to be mothered,
Yeah.
because I was missing what I'd missed was, for me, was that beautiful connection of support, loving support, where I felt strong. But instead, I hid away inside a shell for so many years when I was younger. I mean, I was bullied everywhere. You know, that the vibration that was coming out of me was that people were going to bully me.
Yes.
And
Yes.
what happened?
Yes.
I constantly got bullied. You know, I didn't try hard at
Yeah.
school. I wanted to hide away, or I was, physically and mentally bullied at school. I was a fat kid, right? I put on weight. I was just, I would still do stuff like people like, and I always hung around adults because I knew they didn't pick on me, right? So wherever we went, I was always hanging around the adults. Didn't want to
You
hang
know
with
what's
the
really
kids.
interesting, brother? That's beautiful. And I'll tell you why I love talking about the capacity that we have to compare our upbringing and who we are as men, because we are both divine masculine today. But
Mm.
the path that we got here is a very different path, because I also chose to hang around older people because I enjoyed the information that they had to share, right? So totally different reasons, but we had that exposure, which is the reason why today we have a greater capacity of understanding and connecting to many different peoples, right?
Yes,
Because
absolutely.
it comes from that connection. So even though it was a negative in one direction, it was a hugely tremendous blessing to you that you didn't know was happening.
100%. I loved all of the conversations, listening to the adults. I was just that I'm just at a different level, right? Whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
And
absolutely.
and the interesting part was that of how the adults perceived me in comparison to how I was perceived by my friends and peers at
Eh,
school,
yeah,
right? So
and that's
the adults perceived me as a child that liked to talk a lot,
yeah,
right? My peers and at school perceived me as a loner and someone who didn't share anything. Two totally different worlds, right? Because in one world, I felt safe. In the other, I didn't feel safe.
right, right. And I'll tell you what, for those of us that can see us, you see it's two different directions. But when you bring those two together and you wrap them around, you become this beautiful butterfly, because you have to bring that negative side and that positive side and unite it internally to you. And
Mm.
that's healing the past, pulling in the future into your current present. This is what we do as part of, not part of, this is the only thing that we do in helping people get healed and helping people learn to talk their story, to become great again in their own sight. You know, and it's so beautiful that our paths, because it was abuse on both sides. Okay,
Yeah.
you had physical abuse, and I was a domineering man. So in many ways, I was the abuser, right? Verbally. And I just wanted to bully my way. It's, you know what? I'm the one that makes money around here. You don't like it? Figure something else to do because I'm the man. That's just the way it works around here. That's who I was. Soldier, right? Professional boxer, making all kinds of money. I'm just like, I'm blessed. God has put me in this place. That's the kind of conversations that I had. That'll shut anybody down, right? And so that was a very different man. Okay. And but on my third
Hang on,
marriage,
Hector. I just want to. I need to make a point on this. This is really important. There's a lot of men out there that haven't dealt with their mother wound. That have, can I can I swear on here? Am I allowed to swear on the
go
podcast?
ahead.
Right. That fucking are bullies because they
They're
got a mother
afraid.
wound and they don't want to fucking deal with it
That's a fact, bro.
because they think people are going to think they're either weird or fucking weak, and they don't have
Because
the
they are.
balls. Yeah, because they don't have the balls to look at themselves so they can fucking do some crying
Look,
and
what
deal
you
with
said
the
is 100%
like
true.
and like
100% true. Bro, look, I hang out with guys just like the guy that I used to be. As a matter of fact, we served together in the military. Okay, we serve. Some of these guys are still serving as a police officer, and these guys will go in and they'll shoot somebody. They'll put themselves in danger to get killed for strangers. But when you put them in front of a woman to love, and when you put them in front of a child, they are incapable.
yeah, because they're not
Those are the
open
guys we're talking about.
yeah, because they're not able to open their heart to be able to receive love.
Mhm,
Really
mhm.
want to break
And
it
look,
down. That's what it's all about.
it is.
It's this bullshit. Like, I teach leaders how to open their freaking heart, right? It's the most fundamental aspect. You've been through my training. You know how crazy intense it is to actually speak connected to your heart because it's a vulnerable place. It brings in so much fear in people because the moment they sit in the presence of their own heart, a whole bunch of fears pop up. And what are those fears? A whole bunch of wounds you haven't fucking dealt with.
See, it's the moment that you shake a can of soda or whatever, and then you pop it open real quick, and everything comes out. And that's how your emotions are. The moment that you deal with it for the first time, you're like, and you break down, and you all of that stuff just rushes right out. But if you take that same can and you put pressure underneath it, and you all slowly start to release it, you know what? You can release the pressure without it busting out. And the same thing is how has you have to deal with it, right? And this is what we do. This is exactly what you did with me, right? And while you are absolutely right that men are full of shit and they're not dealing with it, but these men also need a certain level of compassion. Let me define that, because see, there are
Whoa,
women, there are
100%
women right
compassion.
now.
100%
Yes,
compassion, right? 100%
but you
compassion
see,
because
what
we were
happens is
all
there are
wounded.
women, right? There are women today that they fall in love with the potential because they see this wonderful man, that he's great in these areas, that he's capable of protecting and providing, but he's wounded. And so what do? They don't, the women don't level themselves up to say, I like you, I want to be with you, but we're gonna have to deal with this. What she does is she tries to fill in that mother gap, not her place to do so. And this is where relationships go wrong.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, bang on, man. Bang on because you're feeding the wound.
You're feeding the beast. Do not feed the creature at midnight.
And actually watch Gremlins. I got my kids to
Yeah,
watch Gremlins
that's
a few
exactly my
months ago.
reference.
Right? And don't feed them after midnight.
uh, that's exactly the reference that I was just making reference to. Okay. Oh my God, look, don't feed the, it's a really cuddly creature, just not after midnight, okay? And um but let me say this, right? Because I wanted to go somewhere else. On my third marriage, um, I had got that healing and I was financially responsible. And my wife was making a ton of money, okay? And she was making me all kinds of offers. Just, she wanted to a certain degree, mother me and say, well, we could do this to get in that. I would say, yeah, we could, but I must have a certain level of financial responsibility before we can move forward. I was putting the brakes on the relationship. And so we got to a point where her wounding came up. And when her wounding came up, right, I had to address it from a different position. I was no longer the guy needing a mother. I was no longer the guy needing, um, come here, baby. I was no longer that guy in that need. And I could say from a healthy place, hey, you know what? Come here. Um, I want to love you and I want to have this relationship, but I want to have it from a very mature place. And I need you to respect my space and we can walk this together. And that relationship did not work. Okay. But the difference is I took personal responsibility and I knew that I didn't need her to fill in the gap because she felt she wanted to, but that was her past. That's what she was accustomed and trained to do. So that's what she wanted to do. And I said, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Yeah, it's a massive difference. And because I mean, how many years would that be from that first relationship that you brought up to the third marriage? How many years difference is that?
Oh my God, Um, so 25 years
Okay, just this, I'm making a point of this. Healing's a journey. 25
easily.
years for you to come into a place of understanding the inner responsibility that you have for yourself, right? This aspect of men being able to heal their mother wound, it's a journey. Don't think that it's just going to happen like that. The revelation can happen like that, but it's like an onion. You're just going to, like, I was listening to a neuroscientist just recently, and so many different bits of information about how much information the mind um, absorbs in is correlating at any one moment, right? But
That's an amazing, yeah.
it's
I've read about it.
like,
I don't know what that number is, but it's
well,
mind
he
boggling.
he said 10 million a second, right? And you've got to, and the mind can, the brain can only process a certain amount, right? 2 to 3,000 bits of information, right? But
Right.
you've got millions of bits of information that the mind, so there's a big difference between the mind and the brain, right? The mind, which is the whole encompassing as physical and energetic aspect of who you are, right? The absorption of the creation of the supercomputer. It absorbs so much information, the light, everything. It's absorbing everything. It's so much, but your brain is only processing a certain amount. So when you're dealing with trauma aspects, there is the story, there is the perspective of the story, of your belief of what that story meant to you, but there's going to be thousands of bits of triggers associated to that one story. Be gentle on
And
yourself. Be
look, exactly,
right.
exactly. So we have what you've heard me say this. We have what we call the mind. I call it the gorilla, where the brain, I call it the monkey, right? Because it's a chimp going from branch to branch, always making noise. The gorilla just sits back and whoa, he's strong and he acts when he needs to, right? So that's the difference in between the two. One wants to rush you into things and it's out. But here's the other piece. That stuff is stored in the organs of your body. It's not stored in the brain. And so your body feels it. And you get right? And you get freaking out and your back hurts and your head. There are places where you have stored this information. And if you're not aware, it'll feel so real, even if it's not happening. But your brain will record it as, oh man, you better run. This is an attack, right?
Yes, that's the whole fight flight, scenario, right? What your belief system is in a stressful situation. What does your body actually want to do in that stressful situation? And the what you bring up is a really important aspect. And I've worked with healers and right across the board in all different formats and modalities, and the whole aspect of healing is the energetic body, right? Is the energetic field that needs to be healed. And when you break it down, this is the simplest way for everyone to actually understand this. And this, for men, this is so important to remember. Your emotions are held in your body, just like Hector was saying, right? You got pressure points all throughout the body. Everyone knows what an acupuncturist is, right? Put your hands up. Who's been to an acupuncturist, right? Yeah, right. Okay. The aspect to an acupuncturist is that they put a pin into a pressure point to release a blockage inside your meridian that is
Which is
blocked,
nothing more.
emotionally blocked, which is
Yes.
associated to your memories.
Yes. And it's an electrical discharge in which an emotion is trapped in a specific point in your body, but it can be read and registered as an electrical discharge in your body. It's
Exactly.
physical, chemical, biochemical.
Yeah. And that's where people get dis-ease.
Well,
Because
hello.
right, they're not dealing with the emotional stuff that is deep, 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 deep subconsciously. And that's why we're doing this event next month, which 2 days, transformational, giving you the tools and taking you through a journey of discovery to heal these generational aspects of all these subconscious blind spots that are there, but you're not willing to face them or see them, or you don't know how to open them. Because remember, this is something I was talking about last night, which is the moment that you start becoming an archaeologist in yourself and you allow your mind to start opening the doors of your history, of your existence, of your stories. The moment you give the blessing to yourself, the willingness and the courageousness that you have stated to the cells in your body, epigenetics, you're stating to the cells, I'm ready to open some of these doors that I haven't actually witnessed inside myself in my memories. I'm ready for it. Let's start excavating and having a look at what's actually there that I actually haven't healed, that I actually haven't allowed myself to grieve. Because the whole healing process is grieving, right? You've got to go back and go, what haven't I grieved about? What haven't I allowed myself to acknowledge, to feel, because remember, the healing is in the feeling. We have to heal these things, these elements, these memories, these circumstances. We have to heal the aspect to our mother that we think, remember, it's our perception that we created individually of our perception of what we thought our mother believed, our belief system, what that mother means to us, of how we receive love, how we receive love. Let me say that again, how we receive love. What do bullies do? They push people away deliberately because that's how they want to project some sort of love they think is the aspect of what they think love is. Right?
Right. 100%, brother, 100%. And so what happens in these podcasts is so many nuggets are dropped that, I want to slow him down because he was trying to slow me down over stuff. But let me say this, because that's a lot of good stuff. here's the opposite, the not the opposite side, but here's another piece to it, okay? Is that you can be that archaeologist, and you can take the 25 years and make all the mistakes, and the 30 years that it took me to go through that whole process, or you can get yourself smart and get a coach that can shorten your time, and we could do this in a couple of weeks. We could do this within 8 to 6 weeks. Healing, when you've worked with people like us, healing will happen instantly. All we have to do is help you understand what your brain is telling you, but the healing happens on our first session. Is that not the case? See,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people out there, and there are some counselors, coaches, people that call themselves healers, and what they're doing is they're out there trying to heal people, and they haven't dealt with their own wounds completely. They have a gift, don't get me wrong, and the gift works, but guess what? It comes with a little bit of a bug, if you will, a little bit of a right, a bot, a negative bot.
And you're so right. So this is the aspect of this is that when you make and Lee just brought up a statement here, those emotions can be released from the body through awareness, right? Yes. When you decide that you are going to start accepting yourself for who you are, because this is one of the hardest things people actually have to do, is actually make a decision that they're going to start acknowledging themselves and what they haven't seen within themselves. That's the truth. Because the perceptions that we hold inside of us about ourselves that were projected from our environment, from the people around it, who we perceived what love was, and how we constructed our own perception of how we receive that love, or how we even give that love, is all the basis of coming down to the acknowledgement of what is the truth. What is the truth of who I am? And that is starting to make it the willingness and the decision to go, I want to shift myself. I know I've got these troubles. I know I'm a bully. I know that I don't like receiving love. I don't like people touching me. I don't like getting hugged by people. I mean, these are deep-rooted belief systems that are associated to some sort of, again, walls around your own heart, which is the positioning of what we want to try and dismantle. We want to dismantle the walls that have been built up from experiences in life, to allow you to not only give love, because unless you have the love inside you, you can't give love, right? You can tell people you love them, but unless you love yourself, you're not actually giving the love. It's like
There you go
having
again.
a
Go
bag
again,
of
dropping
an
a
empty
nugget.
bag and saying, hey, you want an orange? Here's an orange. And the person goes, that's not an orange. There's no orange there. And you're like, yes, it is. It's an orange. You're trying to deceive someone with something that's not actually there. And that's exactly how love works. Unless you are the vibration of your own love, you can't truly give love, and you can't truly receive the love. If you're in a position of servicing other people in the realm of whether it's healing or coaching or mentoring or counseling, whatever it may be, the greatest transformation is having your own heart open to hold the space of the person that you're guiding, to allow them to feel the love that you have inside yourself, so they feel safe enough to be able to embrace their own love, because they can see a reflection of what love actually is.
Kane, you need to stop that. You just need to stop it, okay? Just stop it. It's so true. The orange being offered, you ever buy a bag of oranges or a bag of apples and they look good when you buy them, you take them home, and one has a bruise, and that's exactly where it starts to rot, and this white stuff starts to grow off of that orange and rots the other one. That's what you're offering when you are offering love that's not healed. You're offering a corrupted form of love. And people are like, oh, that look, if that offends you, it's time for you to do a double check inside yourself. Hello, that's just a fact. And the reason why I know this is because I can tell you about my own experience. Okay, I did a lot of wonderful work, like I said earlier, 40 kids and everything else. And that's all, that was all good, and it had its purpose. But what I realized is I was still trying to fill in a vacuum. Today, I'm healed. Today, I love me. I like me a lot. I like waking up and next to me and inside of me going, it's a beautiful day. I like my body. I like who I am. And that's not being proudful, it's not being boastful. It's just that I have fallen in love with this individual, with this creature who I am, because I had to go through that long term of pain to come to the realization of the things that we're trying to talk about here. You see, you can, if you have a dollar, you got 100 pennies in America. But the moment that you give out 99 and you haven't refilled, you don't no longer have a dollar. All you have is just a penny. You got 99 vacuum, 1 penny of love. And if you give that away, you're empty. So you have to be able to come from abundance. The love has to be inside of you first before it can come out.
Now, how is all of this related to healing the mother wound and having better intimacy?
Yeah.
This is the whole foundation of everything in a relationship. It's self-love. This is the key. This is the key to. So when I say self-love, like when you've got two partners coming together, male or female, girl or girl, boy or boy, what is, right? It doesn't matter, masculine and feminine, because that's the dynamic that comes together. It doesn't matter what sex you are. The truth of it is that unless you have the ability to give the respect to your partner that they are on a journey to self-love themselves, and you have to be patient enough and graceful enough to accept that they are on their own individual journey. You don't come into a relationship and just go, I just want sex and I want someone just to make me feel good and have some laughs with. No, if you want a long-term relationship, you're committing to the growth of that individual for their betterment, not yours. It should never be about, I'm getting a partner because I want them to make me better. Bullshit. It doesn't work like that. That's
Okay.
that's a trade. That's a money transaction, right? It's
It
transactional,
is, that's it. It's
right?
transaction. And so what happens with women, okay, is that they see a guy that has potential and they invite him in too quick into that deeper relationship, right? And they start to draw on that bank. And what they're drawing is from a place that has no abundance. And then they begin to resent, right? And we don't realize that this is what we're doing. So, how does a woman that's already involved in a relationship, just exactly like you said, you have to come to the negotiation table, take a stop and say, you know what? I'm committed to us. I'm committed to this relationship. Let's set some new boundaries together and let's walk it out and build an exit strategy should that not happen. Because what we know happens is you can only match to your level of attraction. So I get involved with a woman and I'm at this level. All of a sudden I grow. Guess what happens? She doesn't. Now I'm demanding that she be at this level. That's not fair to her. So I gotta create the space, hold the environment, and invite her to that space. She gets to make that choice whether she wants to go there or not. That's hers. And at that point, now The higher educated person, the higher elevated soul has to say, you know what? I created the vacuum in between us. I'll take responsibility in that space. So I'm going to take the steps necessary for us to be able to work this out in a way that we both are still happy. A lot of people don't know how to walk that way.
No, they don't. No, because do you want to tell the brutal truth of why?
Yes, please.
Yeah. They're too self-absorbed. So many people are me. Oh, my trauma. Oh, my problems. Oh, I had a rough upbringing. Oh,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
who didn't? Who didn't? Who didn't have a rough upbringing? But can you actually just be positive about your life? Or do you want to be shitty about your life? And do you want to bully other people? Do you want to put them down? Do you want to judge other people? Do you want to what do you want to do? What do you want? What kind of person do you want to be? At the end of the day, you got to take full responsibility of the individual. You want to have a thriving relationship. You want to heal your mother wounds. I'm talking from a male perspective. You want to heal your mother wounds? Take responsibility of yourself.
We're talking to
Oh,
men.
and to men, take responsibility of yourself and do the work that is necessary to you to tapping into the love that is already, because everyone already has love inside them. It's there, it exists. You've just hidden it away because there's been fear factors associated to what? Oh, your
Mm.
past, your traumas, your things you don't want to look at, you don't want to discover. Oh, my dad was an asshole. Was he? Did he actually have any idea about how to bring up a child?
What if you were the one who
And
chose your dad?
well, everyone chooses their parents to come into this life, right?
Well,
It's the
but
soul's
to some people,
choice.
that's a revelation.
Yeah, I know, right?
Okay.
But this is deeper training, Hector. This is deeper training. Some people aren't ready for that yet. Just brother, settle down, settle down.
Oh my God, that is so true. Look, so thank you, Leah, for saying this. She said sometimes it requires giving them a lot of space and taking the space for yourself to secure with knowing that the space will enhance the individuality. That's true, but I see we have to bring balance to this. Again, it's the subject is how to heal the mother wound, right? From a man's perspective. But I just want to take a moment to tell women, if you also are responsible for creating the environment where that man can continue to stay a boy, right? You can't all of a sudden just say, hey, you know what? I feel unsafe around this man. Now,
Oh,
hear
hang on,
what I'm
wait.
saying.
Can you say that again? This is really, really important. Really, really important.
It's huge. It's huge. You can't just all of a sudden start in the public saying you no longer feel safe around the man that you were just in bed with.
Yeah, because you were feeding the monster.
You were. And so take personal responsibility. Be a big girl, put on your big girl underwears, and you know what? Woman up for your part.
Because that's
But
the union, right? That's the let's just be clear. This is the dance. Relationship
it
is the
is the
dance of the
dance.
soul.
It is the dance.
The dance of the soul.
It
No matter the wounds, it's completely irrelevant. Are you willing enough to see the wounds, to heal the wounds, to be able to break the beliefs, to to be able to create new belief systems subconsciously, because it's all subconscious stuff.
It is. It is. And,
It's
and
also
nobody gets together to break up. We don't do that. Hey, let's get together so we can have a really bad breakup.
You know what? You know what? The scary part
Tell
is
me.
that some people are going to do that subconsciously. serious.
Do. And they do. And then you know what we do? We say, oh, that was a karmic debt that I owed. Stop the bullshit. Take personal responsibility. You're playing house.
Yeah.
Let's stop that craziness. Look, the guys, if you are wounded and you know it, because you can feel the energy in this language that we're talking about, kind of irritates you, and you like, ah, right? That thing just starts to creep up in you. That's a symptom. That's a sign that says you need some help. Okay. If you are truly a leader and you want to be a divine masculine, guess what? Raise your hand and say, "Hun, we have to have a conversation." And put on your big boy underpants. Sit down and say, "Babe, I want you to sit down and let's lay things out I'm not gonna argue. I don't want to fight. And if you do, I want to tell you, I'm gonna just step out of the room. I'm not leaving the house, but what I'm not gonna do is allow you and me to go to a place where we have no business going, because this is a relationship of us.
And
That's where we start.
I want to add to that because that's a really important conversation. The other aspect to that is don't be scared to fucking cry.
Hey, how about this one? Uh, Babe, I don't know how to do this. I'm actually nervous and I have a whole lot of anxiety. I've been talking to my guys. I gotta talk to you. I feel scared. I feel scared right now because I don't know what's gonna come out. But because I respect and love us, I need to do this. How about starting right there? What do you think the woman's gonna say? Shut the hell up, man. Get out of here. I don't want to talk to you, to a little wuss like you. No, she'll go, what did you just say?
Yeah, because you just demonstrated courageousness, emotional courageousness. There's a big difference between being courageous and being emotionally courageous. Because courageous, everyone's been courageous, physically courageous. Everyone has had elements of being physically courageous. But how many people are actually emotionally courageous?
Hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Man, we started a little bit late and it's 7:58, but you know what? This is we do this because this stuff is really good stuff. And I just want to read a couple of things that Leah put out here, which is really powerful. She says, "Yeah, self-absorbed. Do what you want. Do uh, you do to make me happy." See, that's the problem. We are demanding somebody else to take responsibility for what's inside of us. Nobody else can touch it, right? And then she says, "Ouch, more responsibility." Everybody needs to take personal responsibility. It's about being accountable to yourself. That's what we call mental integrity, instead of having what I call mental masturbation. Okay, that's a whole different subject right there. And then she goes on to say, whenever you end up with one, will pick up another. You can't get away from yourself. You're the one sending the signal out there. It's just going to happen. Okay. And so, regarding that man that dares to say, "Babe, I'm afraid to talk about this because I don't really know. I've never done this before." And it's okay for you to start crying and feel shaky and say, "Hey, I just need to just give me a moment. I gotta breathe through this." She says, that's a powerful man right there. Guys, if you really want to heal the relationship, if you really find value in this woman, then I'm daring you and I am challenging you and I'm also begging you. Try it. Try it. Try to be vulnerable enough to say, "I really don't know. I'm fucking afraid right now, but I need to talk." Just don't go in that place where you get all upset, because that's that little kid throwing a fit inside of you. Don't do that part, but stay in that space and be vulnerable enough. And you'll see that you're going to bring not the mothering side of that woman out. You will bring the loving, caring woman that says, "Wow, you're turning me on, dude. You're making me feel a different kind of way." Okay.
Yeah, it's look, you brought up a really this is what you've just brought up is a key attribute of selflessness, emotional courageousness,
Yeah.
fearlessness, because emotional fearlessness, let me explain what that is. Emotional fearlessness is the willingness to look at your memories, to look at the events in your life, the things that you haven't been willing to forgive, the things you haven't been willing to accept, the things that you told yourself that they're to blame. Those things, they're all the things that are holding you back. They're all the things that are actually destroying your relationships. They're all the things that are destroying your own relationship with yourself.
Can I say amen?
Yes, you can.
Amen.
The moment that you have the courageousness, the emotional courageousness, the emotional fearlessness to be able to present yourself to your partner, to your divine feminine or your divine masculine, and be open and honest, because you can't live in a relationship that has fear. Fear that if you share something vulnerably, that it's going to be used against you, that you're going to be criticized.
Yes.
Because that's destructive. That's actually a subconscious bullying aspect that someone has implemented into the relationship, that it's not safe for me to share something because I'll be hurt, which is all a reflection of the unhealed mother wound that's inside you, because your inner child doesn't feel safe to be able to share what actually hurts them. So they put on this mask. They pretend to be Mr. Bravado. Nothing fucking affects me. I'm gonna tell my workers to do what they want. Yeah, you work for me and work hard. Rah, rah, rah.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
Mom,
No.
go and get me a beer from the fridge, will ya? Yeah. Hey, is dinner ready yet? Why not? Oh, yeah.
Right. Right. And these are the symptoms that we have had from the past, and we have inherited lies from our parents. That's what the Bible says. We have inherited lies from our parents.
Mm.
Okay. It says that very clearly in the Hebrew, but okay. But now, what are we going to do? Right? Every man, every woman is unto themselves an enigma in their own mind, because nobody argues and judges your own thoughts. And it takes a higher level of thinking in order to bring yourself into that place of self, um, not judgmental, but self-judgment. And that produces a beautiful person inside of you. And so this is a process. That's why there are people out there that are reaching out and trying to say, hey, I can help you in this process. Go ahead, please. If you can just take what we've given you and take that one step and build that relationship. There's a balancing act in all of this. And here it is. I got to read this because this is written by a woman. It's not my words, even though I back it 100%. Leah says, thank you, Leah, by the way, for being here. How about women not going out and telling men what they need to do in their healing journey? Period. Leave him alone. Let him have his process and let him know that you are there for him in his own process. See, men, and this is me talking. I'm not talking for Kane, I'm talking for Hector. I believe that the only place a man can get real healing is with a man. You need the brotherhood. So whether you get your healing with a therapist and a woman or whatever, you need to come to the brotherhood, because this is where you mature as a man. You need men in your freaking life that are not afraid to keep you accountable to your own bullshit and to your own truth. Because it's not about just dogging you. It's about saying, hey, Kane, you said you were going to do this and this and this. I didn't say it, you said it. And if that's the case, bro, where are you at in that process? Well, why? Did you not say it? Right? This is how we talk to each other this way. Didn't you say we're gonna accomplish that? Why aren't you done yet? Why? Oh, okay. Some things are reasonable, some things are not reasonable, some things are an excuse. And then all of a sudden, Kane's like, hey, Hector, you've been using that excuse a little bit too long, man. Take care of business because you said you were gonna do it. You keep saying it, but you're not. Boom, there it is. Okay. And another thing is, she said, a woman has the ability to tune into herself so deeply in love that she can discern the man's need for his own process and space when he is not yet ready to express himself externally. Those are all true. Those are all true. Now, Kane, I think you should close it off with that thing that you and I were talking about several days ago. When men don't understand that women are, don't take this wrong, ladies, a mirror to us. They repeat or reflect our own personal leadership, right? You want to cover that? How? Please.
Yeah, look, everything is about reflection. We're reflecting each other all the time because we're attracting whatever frequency that we're actually at. We're magnetizing, right? We're just magnets of vibrational frequency, right? As a human being, where if you've got guilt and shame associated to your past, it's a subconscious frequency that is emanating out into the universe, right? It's emanating out into the ether, and that's why things, unfortunate things keep coming, right? Or you get these people that come into your life that make you feel this kind of way because that's what you're feeling about your own self. So in a relationship, the mirroring aspect is in that self-leadership. If you're not willing to raise your frequency, which is by emotionally charging yourself to higher emotions that give you a higher frequency, which is peace and love and understanding and willingness and right acceptance, these are all things that are about yourself. So if you're in a relationship and you keep going at each other and you keep blowing up at each other, it's a reflection of what's going on inside of you that you're reflecting out to your partner.
Ooh. Yes, yes. Leah's laying down some golden nuggets, guys.
So if you want a better relationship, create a better mirror. You want to go to the mirror and look yourself in the eye and say, I love you? Go and do it. Can you do it? Can you do it every day? Can you actually stare at yourself in the mirror? I'm talking to the men out there. Can you stare at yourself in the mirror, not feel like a dick, and actually say, hey, man, I love you. You're a pretty sexy man. You're intelligent. You're pretty funny too. Can you actually do that from your heart? Because if you can't, then you need to break through something. Yeah. There's something that you're not seeing in your own self, right? There's a truth there that you're not willing to see. So what is the truth? Do you want to be truthful? Do you accept who you are every single day, every living, breathing moment, every minute? Could a documentary crew reject your life, and would you be proud of it? Just think about that for a second.
Yeah.
Are you
don't
willing,
have to take it that deep, brother.
Are you willing enough, as a man, are you willing enough to have a documentary crew come in onto your life in the next 14 days and project your life? And are you going to look at it and go, I'm proud of that? Or are you going to look at that going, I'm shit scared of anyone seeing who I really am?
Hey, you know what? That also applies to women. That challenge applies to women. Could you possibly allow somebody to show up in your life and publicize you? Well, now, again, Leah said this, and this is really powerful based upon what you just said, right? That a woman is a reflection of a man. You know why? Because you're calling, as men, you're calling in a leadership. But if you have a mother wound, you're no longer calling a partner. You're calling in a mama, okay? That brings you drama. That's the problem. Okay. And so Leah said this: DNA transfer, iniquity. Woo! That's a whole subject right there. That's a whole subject right there.
Yeah, and she also said, got to look at the ugly to get to the true beautiful self. Absolutely, because there's nothing actually ugly about it. Let's just be clear on that. There is nothing ugly about your story. Your story is actually one of the most fundamental aspects of your own existence. Now, I use this analogy all the bloody time. You're a tree. Close your eyes for a second. If you're a man or a woman, I know we've gone over time, but this is really important. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And I want you to see yourself as a tree, a big oak tree, whatever tree tickles your fancy. Look at that tree. That's you. That's your life. If someone cut the roots off your tree, what would happen? You'll die. A tree only thrives by nurturing the roots. The roots are the most important to the existence of the tree. The tree doesn't judge its own roots. A tree loves where it's come from because it is the hallmark of strength and stability. It is a pillar. It has grown into a pillar of strength through the adversity of the weathers, of the storms, of the droughts. It's still standing because it still has its roots. Without the roots, you can't have a tree, which means you don't have a life. So are you living your life as a leaf in the sunlight? Or are you living your life as a tree that is a pillar of your own existence, that nurtures your roots, your stories, your memories, and looks at the brilliance, at the strength, at the capacity to hold oneself, to weather all the storms, to see that if it wasn't for those stories, those roots, those memories, that you would not exist as you are today as a pillar of strength.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much for saying that. Leah said, well, Lady Gaga has a beautiful song, says, I want your ugly, I want your disease. Okay? You should hear the words and the lyrics in that song is absolutely powerful. But now I want to talk to you about 0-point contact or 0-point thinking. If you take a mirror or dark energy and light energy and you bring it together and they're of equal potential, a man and a woman, okay? I'm not talking about same gender, a man and a woman, equal power, equal potential. And when they come together and that pressure, right? People think that, what do you think is maximum pressure? Let's say, just for the sake of numbers, 1,000 and 1,000 come together, or 1,000,000 and 1,000,000. What do you think is the pressure in the middle? Think about what I'm asking you. What do you think? Do you think it's cumulative, or do you think it cancels itself? They're equal, and therefore you were to measure the center, that 0-point measurement is 0. When a wing is going across the air, right at the edge where it makes contact, it's 0 pressure. When the air goes across it, it increases. When it goes underneath it, it also increases. But at the point of contact, 0. And that's why it can break through the barrier of sound. So
We have to understand that we both have responsibilities in this process, and we both have accountability in this process. We need to stop mothering if you're a woman, and men, you need to stop looking for excuses for somebody to be your mama. Like I said earlier, and clear the drama from your own life first. Okay? And this is what's going to bring that balance. We need to learn to have new conversations. And we have to understand that what we do is we do a lot of semantics. Watch the English. The English is a really messed up language. Okay. So I speak several different languages, and it's so cool because one Hebrew word can have 6 meanings. But a lot of times, semantically, we think we're saying the same thing. So I'll say to my brother, "Oh, I love you." I'll say to my sister, "I love you." I say to my wife, "I love you." I say to, right, my dog, "I love you." And I love this hot dog. What kind of love am I discussing here? You follow what I'm saying? So we get into semanticals, and just because you hear the right word doesn't mean they're saying the same thing that you're saying. So break it down and define it. Learn to have a creative exchange in which you're having a discussion and you're going, "Did you say this? Do you mean this?" And grow from there. And if not, then come check us out because we can help you out with that process.
Absolutely. So, Hector, this has been an amazing conversation today. I hope people have found some true value and willing to actually make a little discovery inside themselves to bring in a better relationship, to foster better relationships, to foster better communication, self-communication, love. Love is the benchmark of it all.
Heals everything.
Absolutely. And look, there, like I said, there is the event next month, which is on the 19th and the 20th of June. It's Balanced Transformation, Integrating Masculine and Feminine Energies for Empowered Living. It's healing generational trauma so you can have a more empowered life in the true form of who you are. It's over 2 days. There is a VIP extra day that you can join. It's run by myself and Anna Maria. I will be dropping the link into this so you can join up to the event. There is an early bird special. It's 15% off at the moment. There's only 5 days left for the early bird special. So I'd love to have you there. You can either come for one day or the second day or for both days. I suggest that you come for both days as it's going to be absolutely transformational in what you are going to find, discover, release, heal, and activate in your own self. You'll walk away with a completely different perspective of who you are and the balance of the love that you hold for yourself. So truly transformational event. Can't wait to be there with you, to share it with you. Hector, you are always a pleasure to converse with. Thank you, brother.
Man, you're welcome. And likewise, it's such incredible pleasure. And thank you, Leah. You have added so much to this conversation. It's so nice to have a female come in and just put it in and get it all into the mix. Thank you so much for doing that. Really, really appreciate that. So let us know in the context in the comments if you want to hear some more subjects of this, or you want us to expand any further on the stuff that we've covered.
Yes,
Easy,
that's
put in
great.
hashtag replay, and then we'll know.
Absolutely. And thank you, everyone, and anyone that wants to leave comments or questions or topics they would like us to go deeper upon, please leave in the comments. It's been an absolute joy, Hector. We will see you in 2 weeks. So every 2 weeks, you can catch the two of us going deep on the hearts of men in the real form.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
See you all later, everyone. Take care. Bye, Leah. It's been a pleasure.